You
know,
mean to tell me there's going to be nothing about box forts and slime in the actual recording?
well, this is now the actual recording, so we can cover box forts and slime. Now, we digress very slightly. For those that have never been here before, welcome back to the Data Protection Diaries and the pub chats. For those who have been here before, you will be used to the general waffle that goes on in here in the pub. We have a sign now as well, a proper sign.
Ooh, professional.
Not just a paper. It's from Woucher, not just a paper one. But we are joined today by Eliza Austin. Eliza-May or Eliza?
Eliza-May Austin. You just call me Eliza.
Eliza-May Austin, also
Some people call me Oi.
Oi. And Eliza's from That Security Company, and we don't mean that as in we're pointing at it. It's called That Security Company. And he's also the founder and director of the Ladies of London Hacking Society, which is pretty cool. Mm. So I've been through your I've trawled your LinkedIn to try and find out interesting stuff about you. But it's probably,
I bet that took a while.
It's probably
so interesting on there, or boring as fuck.
It's probably better if you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about That Security Company, Ladies of London. What do you do? Where you from?
Okay, Cilla Black.
Do you like box forts?
No, I prefer bedsheet forts. I call them dens. Maybe that's like a northern south thing. Maybe you call them forts, you call them dens. I don't know. Dens clearly better. Yeah. So Eliza-May Austin, and I run a company called That Security Company. It's spelled in Leet, so if you want to find it, Google thatsecurity.company or Pocket SIEM. That's another company as well. And because I'm obviously not busy enough. Jesus. Started Ladies Hacking Society. We've now got London, Newcastle, Norwich, Cheltenham, and we've got some inquiries about Bristol again. That's really spread. So I do a whole host of things. Purple teaming, building security operations centres, and deploying Pocket SIEM and managing that as well. And training.
So my first question, and this may show my ignorance, but I'll take it. Right. What is Pocket SIEM?
It's all right. That's really ignorant, and I'm really offended. Okay, so Pocket SIEM started off as a service that we offer, and it's sort of encapsulated into its own company now. So it's a SIEM service. So it's not a specific tool. It's a set of open source tools that we've built a service around, configuring and deploying it into an environment, and then managing it long term if they need it. So if you think about how expensive a SIEM product is or a managed service is, we've sort of combined the two to create a hybrid service. So we are an escalation point to customers. There's no licensing fees or anything because it's not a product, it's a set of products that are open source. And we just doing a scoping assessment of the environment, determine the best place to put it, configure all the components, and then off they go. And they own it, they can use it however they want, or if they want long-term support, they can pay us for a retainer. So that's basically Pocket SIEM. We came up with that service idea through mine and my business partners' frustrations in the InfoSec industry as both customers and working at MSSPs in the past as service providers. And there was just loads of things like the customer service is never great. If you're on the receiving end of it, it's never great. The tools never really amount to what you sold. They're well overpriced, and I think it's abysmal that any company, regardless of how much they earn and how much they're worth, should have to pay like 100,000 to £250,000, £500,000 to look at their own data, to look at their own logs in their own environment. I just think there's been a lot of exploitation in our industry, and our goal genuinely is to make Britain, and anywhere that buys our company, that buys our services rather, buys our company. Not ready for that yet. Jesus, only a year and a half. Okay. So anyone that buys our services, it's to make the infrastructure safer. Genuinely, we want Britain, especially, to be a safer place to do business and live for everyone. So we want to make cybersecurity, logging and monitoring, SIEM more accessible to people that wouldn't normally have it.
Nice.
So SMEs, for example. And then we are doing that, and we are shaking up the market, and we are pissing off some of the bigger vendors. So that's awesome. It means what we're doing right.
That's good. To be fair, there's a bit more of a sort of a culture emerging, which is one of the things I was quite excited to talk to you about, is exactly that sort of shake up of what's always been a bit of a dark and murky industry. There's, especially cybersecurity and information security tends to have been full of men. It hasn't always had the greatest reputation. You go to InfoSec and it's women in, like, they're doing the boxing ring things to try and get people to the stands, and it feels like the world has moved on from that now, and actually there's a better way of doing business and a better way of doing things. So, like, this has been, because you did a bachelor's degree in computer security and forensics, so is this like always been what you wanted to do then? You didn't just, did you fall into this, or was this like a career path for you?
Not at all. Like, there's these people that are like, oh, I popped out of the womb, carrying a computer and a Raspberry Pi, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna be a hacker. Like, I'm not like that at all. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was floating around as a waitress, bar staff, receptionist. I did all these random jobs that's got absolutely no progression. And so, what the fuck am I doing? Anyway, I went to university and did, digital forensics, because I did some research and I thought, there's not enough people in this. You can make a difference, and it's a career for life. So I went into it for those reasons, strategic reasons, I suppose, which people don't like to hear, but who cares? And I just fell in love with it, and just fell in love with the industry. I was headhunted, like within my first year of uni, so I finished it while I was working, and I just never looked back, and I wouldn't work in any other industry now. But I think that's the beauty of InfoSec cybersecurity, is you can come at it from any background, as long as you put the work in. Doesn't matter. There's a lot of people, for example, that come to LLHS, and they're really, I've just noticed, like, my hair is such a mess. I look like a homeless person. I'm like so COVID. I'm enjoying it so much that I'm just like.
Right. You keep moving the camera, so at one point we've got like the bottom of your face, and the next point we've got the top. So you'd be all right.
All right, I'll make a Picasso of myself then. Sorry about that, because if anyone's watching and they're really frustrated by the camera moving, I tried to. There's some issue. I don't know. Like we couldn't get it. Teams working on my computer. I have no idea if that's like a Linux thing or what, but I'm on my phone. Yes, so no, I didn't fall into it. It was intentional, but I didn't know what to expect really, and I love it, and I wouldn't do anything different.
Nice, I like it.
Apart from maybe be a kick-ass assassin.
Like an Assassin's Creed type assassin.
No.
Like you can run at walls and things like that.
Oh, is that what you can do if you're an assassin? I don't even know what that is. It's like a game, isn't it?
Yeah. You've got like assassins, haven't you? Like, sharp suits, I imagine, like dripping poison in people's drinks.
Oh no, I'd want to be like a ninja assassin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like climbing up walls and appearing behind people in the dead of night and just.
Oh damn it! It's a spoon. I've got the wrong utensil.
Wait a second. I've got some more stuff in my bag.
Oh, sorry.
I like the fact that it was a strategic decision to go into a market that you thought was a sensible place to be.
Yeah, I don't think we hear enough of that.
No, you're right. Like generally, you get, I've always been interested in computing, or I've always wanted to do this, and I thought I could make a difference. But yeah, very rarely does somebody go, do you know what? It was just a sensible thing to do, and this is why we did it. No, fair play. That's cool. So where does the ladies hacking society side of things? So looking on the website, you're saying there's a 20% of people in the cybersecurity industry are female, which is a fifth of the entire industry is female. But we know that there's a ton of incredibly smart women out there that are already working in cybersecurity and are making a massive difference. So was the London Hacking or the Ladies Hacking Society born out of to help get that knowledge out, or out of a frustration? Where does it come from? What's the intention? How can people get involved?
Well, I'm just less concerned with what's between people's legs. I genuinely don't care. A lot of people are like, oh, you're so sexist because you have a women's group, and I'm just like, I don't care if you've got dangles or not dangles. I don't care what's there. What I do care about is the fact that our industry has been predicated upon this tiny subsection of men, a certain type of man that's been interested in penetration testing and cyber defense. Now, that's totally fine, and it's good that it's been upheld by people that are genuinely passionate about the subject. However, we are now at a point where the safety of our infrastructure can no longer afford to depend on that tiny amount of people. So rather than thinking we need more women in the room to do things, it's more like we need more people to come in and crack on with this work. Now, it would be really difficult to then go out and find people with these specific characteristics that we want. However, it would be really easy to just open it up completely and say, give it a go, come along, see if you like it, see if it boosts your confidence and you feel like you're capable of doing it. All these different things. There's loads of different barriers mentally of why women don't get into it. And see where it goes. And then we've opened it up to 100% of our population rather than 50%, put it down even smaller by just concentrating on a certain type of man. And we've said anybody, don't care about your academic background, if you've got the right mentality to pick these skills up, have a crack at it. If you're a woman, get over yourself, stop thinking about all the negatives, do you know what I mean, and just crack on with it. So LLHS is more about opening up the industry rather than just creating a space for women to just exist in a silo. Because when we're there, we promote other things that they can go to that are mixed. So we promote, DC 4420, bigger conferences, OWASP, Many Hats Club, loads of different things, with the intention of getting them more involved in the industry. But it's incredibly daunting to a lot of women to just go straight into a room full of men and start asking questions that may be deemed basic or whatever. So this is, a lot of women have actually used this as sort of a footing. So they come along, they get their confidence up a bit, and then we sort of lose them to these mixed groups, and then they come back occasionally or on special occasions or whatever. And that's really nice. That's kind of what we want, to be honest.
That's cool. I like that. I've always, and that was kind of my point about InfoSec. I think the last time I saw anything from InfoSec, it was just beer, DJs, genuine women on the stands in bikinis, and you just think if you're walking in there as a woman, that's an intimidating environment, like a room full of men that are happy to go to a stand because somebody's wearing or more likely to go to a stand because someone wearing a bikini doesn't necessarily feel like a safe place where a woman's going to feel comfortable to walk into. So it's nice to see that there's an environment, because my daughter's 7, and I was talking to Steve Wright on one of the pub chats we did the other day, and she's obsessed with hackers and anonymous, and she thinks it's brilliant, and and she wants to get involved in it, and she wants to be engaged, and it's knowing where to point her for information is a challenge, because you're very wary of pointing her to information on the internet, because if you're not watching it, you don't know particularly what she's going to find and what it's going to be like. She'll say, "Oh, can I come to a conference with you?" And you think, yeah, like, I don't want you to get the wrong impression of what the world is like. So knowing that there's somewhere a space that's being created that for women and for people growing up and kids and for anyone that can go that is inclusive is cool. So
well, it's definitely not child friendly, I'm not going to lie. So if someone's teenager, if someone's a young teenager and they want to come along, we get them to bring an appropriate adult. So occasionally we get parents that get in touch and say, oh, my daughter's 16, can I bring her along? And we'll say yes, but she has to be with an adult. And the reason is we've always got alcohol in the room, because it's networking as well as technical training. So we always have alcohol in the room. So that's why. Also, I swear like a trooper. I'm trying so hard right now not to. But there are conferences that are really trying in this space. So, for example, SteelCon, which occurs in Sheffield every year, it's quite hard to get tickets now. But they have like a child's track and everything. So you can turn up and get like a whole day of like a mini conference for kids. It's really quite cool.
Oh, sweet. Because is it B-sides?
Yeah, there's loads of B-sides, yeah.
Because they've always seemed to be quite good as well.
Yeah, I've always had a good time at B-sides, apart from once when me and my friend got followed around, but yeah, we've always had a good time. Yeah. Go away. Ew.
Please stop. Please leave
It's like, I was just asking if this seat was taken. How embarrassing.
Just wanted to sit down, actually. Like, oh, sorry.
Damn it.
I'll move my stuff. So you're a resident. You are a Doncaster girl, born and bred.
I am, and I've been in London for years. So the majority of all my connections are there, but we're building our actual premises for Pocket SIEM in Doncaster. So we've got people that are currently working remote, but we've got people we want to train and bring together. We've got an intern we want to start in 2021. So we need a premises, which we would have had if it had not been for COVID. However, it's fine. We just need to find somewhere. But so yeah, I'm half the week in London, half the week in Doncaster, and then my business partner is London.
Awesome. So how do you find, like, not getting into like a north-south divide thing, but how do you find in terms of the industry and like the talent pool and everything else? Do you think like is the north gonna catch up with London? Because I think the more expensive London gets, and especially now with COVID and working from home and people, big companies potentially shutting down their offices, like, do you think there's an opportunity now for companies to make that move? Like, you don't have to be in London to operate a successful business and to get talent. Can you go somewhere else and have the same successes?
It's definitely done favours for the north. It can't have. I mean, it can't be a bad thing to have companies realise that they don't need to be premises dependent and they can have people from anywhere in the world, essentially, as long as they've got the right skills. So that's a good thing. I think that there's a lot of talent in the north, but if they don't want to move, or if they've got families that they can't, dig up and flip to London with them, they're in lower paid jobs, or they don't have the progression routes open to them. And I suppose it's quite selfish, really, that I want to create opportunities that I would have bit someone's hand off for when I was in Doncaster with nothing open to me. Like there was genuinely, things are changing now, but there's a lot of investment in the area, but it's always been a notoriously poor area. And when I was growing up, it was just like, you just think, what on earth am I going to do? So there's call centres and bars, and that's about it. That's all that's here, really. So I wanted to create, and me and my business partner agreed on this eventually, wanted to create career opportunities, not just jobs. There are companies here that have moved people from London to work for them, but you're just shifting talent around, you're not creating anything new. So we're really passionate about that. So yeah, homegrown talent, whether it's like service managers, sales, we want them to operate in the way that we want them to operate, into our ethos, to our core values as a company, and that's what we're going to create. Yes, was that your question? I can't remember.
Yeah. It's more, I think you see a lot, and we're focused on privacy, security, pen testing, but when we first started, a lot of what tripped us up was looking at other companies and going, oh, well, they've got an office in London. Shit, we need an office in London. If we haven't got an office in London, we're not going to get anywhere. Nobody's going to buy anything from us. No, we're in the Midlands, so we're in Stratford-upon-Avon, smack in the middle of everything. And I don't know, it quickly became apparent that actually you can be anywhere and you can work from anywhere as long as you've got access to the right people and the right talent. So one of the things that we wanted to do is have apprentices. And that was our plan before all this kicked off. We'd found our new offices, we were going to get some apprentices, and then like everything just went to pot, and we've now got this pool of apprentices that were going, oh, what are we going to do? And we're like, we don't know yet. We don't know. Like, we still want to put you through the process. We still want to interview you. We just don't know if we can give you a job because we don't know if you're allowed in the office. But it was fascinating looking at where people were applying from. And you get people from Liverpool and Manchester and Leeds, and they're like, I will relocate. I will move. We will come down. We'll move house and whatever. And I think the idea that London is the hub of all things tech and security is starting to change. And actually, people are starting, why can't you live where you want to live? Why do you have to move to a certain city to do a certain job? Like doesn't make sense
digital
anymore.
Do you know what I mean? It's digital. It doesn't make sense to have London as like the core hub of all of our talent. What a waste. And I mean, not a waste, but I mean, I even think of it, and I might be being a bit extreme here, but I even think of it in the sense of like, what if a massive terror attack happened in London and just wiped out half of the nation's talent in this industry that we like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's possible. And then where do we stand? If it's scattered and we've got people scattered throughout the country, that's a lot better. I mean, there's loads of reasons, but that's just my brain like, oh my god. Worst case scenario, immediately like go straight there. But I also don't like that I trained in digital forensics and cybersecurity in Yorkshire, and I had to take it to London. I got all my offers from London, and then when I was there I continuously did, and I had to move down south to not just get the money but get the opportunities that would be career changing opportunities. They just didn't exist.
It's daft because it creates this situation where people feel they need to move to get the job they need to get because but then they need to earn more money to be there because it costs more money to live there, which then costs more money for the business, to have the person because you've got to pay them more because your offices cost, £100,000 a square metre because you're in the smack bang in the middle of Canary Wharf because you wanted the postcode, rather than just looking at actually, well, this is the service that we provide and this is where we provide it from, but it doesn't matter because we're going to come to your office and we're going to deliver on site, or we're going to deliver remote. Like, who gives a shit where we are? Like, it makes no odds. You're going to get the same product, you're going to get the same service.
Well, with Pocket SIEM especially, it's completely branded differently to that security company, that security dot company, because it's super cheap. It's the cheapest SIEM service out there, and I have checked. Now, we didn't want that to cheapen the rest of our brand, so that's why it's completely branded differently. And that, it's appropriate to move that to the north. We're creating a test bed. There's not a company that's operated in this way before with a service like it. So why not just experiment with everything? Fuck it. So, we're just going to do everything that the other companies do, our competitors do. We're doing the opposite and just seeing what happens. And so far, it's going really well.
Okay. This is one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you, because I like the way you are on LinkedIn. I like the way you express yourself. I like the way you don't give a shit. There are very few companies out there and very few owners of companies that will take that sort of stand and say, do you know what, this is who we are, this is how we do things. If you don't like it, that's fine, you don't have to buy it. Rather than just taking that stance that, I need to be this way to get customers, and I need to act like this to get the business, which then puts you in a situation where you sometimes end up working with people that you don't really want to work with, who don't fit your ethos and fit your style. And you always tend to see it in like the content creators, the guys on LinkedIn telling you how to sell yourself, like they're always effing and jeffing or doing whatever.
Are they?
But it's very, you love it, you'd be all over it. But it's very rare that you see it happening in our industry. And it's nice to see that sort of divergence, that sort of move away from the stiff collar, the tie. This is the mindset, this is the structure, this is how you have to do it. It's nice to see a bit of young blood and a bit of change coming into it. So it's cool. I applaud you. Well done.
Thanks. I think we're just to be transparent, and I hate to say this because it's so like used weird. It's like using this sort of weird. But we want to be authentic. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna turn up somewhere in a power suit and start saying, yes, here's the moon on a stick. Love it, appreciate it, become the moon on a stick. Like, I'm not gonna, no, that's cringe and it's not me, and I can't enjoy running my company if I'm doing that. Yeah. So I am this person. Stephen, my business partner, he is completely different to me. He loves wearing a tie. He loves wearing a cravat. He loves smoking a pipe. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes. Like, please, fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and I love him for it because he's completely himself. So we don't put on a front, and a lot of companies do, and they've got very rich out of doing it, which is awesome for them, but they scratch beneath the surface and they're pretty shit, a lot of them.
Yeah, dull as dishwater.
Yeah, well, they'll sell things that they can't provide, they'll sell services that they can't deliver, charge over the odds for things, aren't transparent about price, aren't transparent about what's actually happening behind the scenes, aren't transparent about where they are as a business, and I'm proud to say that we are, to our detriment sometimes. Because some company that's like, we operate moon diggers, so we dig cheese on the moon. Have you had a customer where they dig cheese on the moon before, and you're like, well, no, because literally no one digs cheese on the moon, and that's not a thing that exists, and we're a startup? And they go, oh, and they're really shocked that you've told the truth. And sometimes they go, well, we want cheese moon digger experience, so we're not going to go with you. And then it's really tempting to go, I've just remembered this time when we dug cheese in Wensleydale. Does that count? You know what I mean? You're really tempted to do that. And I know a lot of companies would go, yeah, we totally, like, we've got Mars experience, moon experience, and all different kinds of cheeses. Whereas we won't do that. We won't sell something that we can't provide. That was the worst, weirdest, cheesiest analogy of anything ever. You get it though?
I'm literally about to write down moon cheese digger. Because if there's, one of the things that I always struggle with when I do these is working out what to put in like the little snapshot description for YouTube. Like, come and watch this. But I just think moon cheese digger is it. Like, if that doesn't get people clicking on it and looking,
that's Dragon's Den,
It might fail the algorithm though, because they'll think they're actually going to get information about moon cheese diggers.
They are.
So just to confirm, do you sell moon cheese diggers?
We don't.
Okay.
Right. I know, it's really going to put so many customers off.
I will clarify that in the little thing that you don't actually sell moon cheese diggers.
No, we don't.
So what does the future look like for Ladies of London hacking, that security? Like, what would be if you could go back and tell your younger self when you went and did your computer security, so you're coming at this now, you're watching this video, you want to get involved in information security, you want to get involved in cybersecurity, what does Eliza today go and tell Eliza from back then to do differently? Or would you just do nothing differently?
I wouldn't do anything differently, if I'm completely honest. I think I've done quite well quite quickly, and that has been because I've been super cheeky. So seriously, so I've worked at large companies before where I've just like had a question, so I've just messaged the CTO or the CISO or the CEO, and then my manager's gone, "You're not allowed to do that. You've got to go through the appropriate channels, Eliza." And I'm like, "What? Oh, I didn't realise I'd signed up to the fucking SAS. Like, do you know what I mean? This is a shop company. We sell socks and shit. Like, do you know what I mean? But you've got to go through the appropriate channels." Where I've always been very like, I would always speak to the cleaners, the people that work in the canteen. I always know everyone's name, and I will treat the people that are C-level and that have been my seniors exactly the same as I've treated those people. Like shit. No, I'm joking. I've always been as nice as possible. And just so that puts you in a really strong position where you're never nervous to just like go and knock on someone's door and say, "I've got this idea, can we hash it out?" Or I know that we're struggling with this as a company and I think I can help. And then you create your own opportunities, and I've always done that, and I've always ended up with more responsibility than I've been getting paid for, but the experience benefits has always been fantastic. So I would always advise people that are younger to not be afraid of responsibility, not be solely concerned with money in the start of your career. It is important. But again, I went and did in my holidays, my first year at uni, when I was working nights in a hotel as a receptionist, but I also, every time I had holidays or a long weekend, would go and find a relatable internship that I could do. And I just advise people to do that. Just work hard, have some tenacity about you, have some gumption, and just think, oh, fuck it, what's the worst thing that could happen? That person could tell me to fuck off. So what? Get successful, tell them to fuck off.
Yeah. That's the Mark Zuckerberg thing, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
In the film, I don't know if it's actually true, but in the film he walks in to some venture capitalist thing, like in his pajamas and a dressing gown, and apparently the guy that tells him to just say sorry he's late, like he's just woken up, and just sit down, and apparently they'll all just be like throwing money at him. Like, I'd like to have, like, to feel like you can be that cocky. It's good.
Well, you have to think that these people that are senior to you, even if it's like your first day, they're another human being. They're a human. Like, they're not something and someone you should put on a pedestal. They're a human, and you should treat them as a human and give yourself the career that you want. No one else is going to give it to you.
Gotta go out and get it.
I don't know how this has turned into like some fucking Gary Vee bullshit.
This is good. You're gonna 10x some stuff. It's
10x?
Yeah, you should go and do some careers chats in schools.
They'd all be coming out of the assembly hall going, fucking this and fucking that.
Tell your teacher to go off. I'm gonna have a better job than you. Yeah, I'm leaving school now. I spoke to Eliza-May. She said I can do anything I want. I'm going now. I'll see you later.
I take it all back. Stay in school, kids. Respect authority and always do as your seniors tell you.
Yeah, this could be like, if you take the end of this video, like the last like 5 minutes, this could be your like promotional video for your interns. So like, come and work for us. Tell us you're going to be better than us. don't listen to a word we say.
Honest to God, like, if I interviewed someone and I said, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And they'd be like, I'd see myself in your shoes. I'd be like, aim higher. Aim higher. Please. Oh, God. Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't want this life.
I've eaten nothing but Wotsits for a week. Aim higher. Like.
Do love a Wotsit, eh?
Yeah. Cheese again.
Cheese flavoured maize snack. I can deal with that.
Moon farmed cheese flavour maize snacks. Yeah. That's
a good business idea.
This is what I'm saying. We should take that to Deborah Meaden or whoever's on Dragon's Den and just be like, you know, we want a giant escalator from the Midlands, not London. We want a giant escalator from the Midlands all the way to the moon. We want a giant spade and some really tall people to dig for cheese.
Yeah.
Then farm the maize. I don't know how you do that.
Moon
Bring
cheese.
it back.
I think it's got legs. Yeah.
There's a lot of potential there.
Here's a question for you. I'll tell you what. Here's a question. If you had to take this company or a company, let's say you had to take an idea, Moon Cheese, to Dragon's Den, who would be your ultimate dragon?
Oh, God. Right. This is all for the wrong reasons and not at all business savvy, because she was a specialist in pallet deliveries. I think it was pallet line or something. You know that? Is it Hilary Davey or?
Yes.
Something. Yeah. She had big shoulder pads.
The proper 80s lady.
Ridiculous hair. Just because she was so like rough. She looked so glam, and then she opened her mouth. She was like, "All right." She'd go, "All right. You ain't got your figures in line, so I'm not investing." Loved her. Absolutely loved her.
She was proper batshit.
Is it Hilary Davey or Jilly Davey or something?
It was something like that. She was proper 80s.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, she did mess up.
Get out. Like, fucking hell, don't want to go alongside you.
So I'd have to go for Peter Jones. I think he's like the safe option. And also he invested in a band. Was it about 3 years ago, something like that? A band called like Ham Fist or something stupid like that. And he like paid for them to have their first. You're looking at me like I'm
foul now.
Looking at me like I'm fucking mental. No, like he paid for them to like do their album, like to do an album. And like there was a clip of him like at one of their gigs, and he obviously didn't. Like he obviously was having like possibly having a midlife crisis, so he thought this was possibly the music that he should be listening to. And they were awful. But I love the fact that he's just like, yes, I'm going to pay for your album because no other record label wants to. But I know, so I'm going to pay. So I think he'd be on board. I think he'd be like easily swayed. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We wouldn't get investment from Hillary, would we? We wouldn't get. She'd go fucking moon cheese. Yeah. I sound like Phil Mitchell.
I like pop scratchings.
I love pork scratchings. I'm so northern. I love pork scratchings and a pint of Guinness. Like, honest to God, what's going on here? But Peter Jones, what I really like about him is he can't hide his emotion. He hasn't got a poker face, so he will go against other dragons to get someone, and then they'll go, oh, I'm gonna go with Deborah Meaden. He's like, how fucking dare you? Do you know what I mean? I don't know that he doesn't have that accent. How bloody dare you? I'm Peter Jones. One of these.
But he does it, doesn't he? Like, he'll say, like, you know, like, you haven't got an idea, you haven't got a business model, you're not going to make any money, I'm out. And then somebody else will go, you've got a brilliant idea, I'm going to give you all the money. And he does literally just go.
Can't hide his emotions. You'd think he'd be better than that.
But then he also sits, and I like it when he waits, and he waits for everyone else to go. And then he goes, now I'm going to tell you what I think. They all want you, therefore I want you. Therefore I'm going to give you more money than everybody else, just so that I win, unless one of them wants to go in halves. And then I'll just jump on the back of the fact that they know what it's all about, and I can make a bit of cash on the side without really
chair, like,
with his socks. Always has like multicoloured socks on as well.
The best comment I've ever seen on the telly ever on anything was Peter Jones. So this guy, he says something like, oh, he gets like a ridiculous offer, and this guy went, no way, Jose. And Peter Jones went, my name's Peter, thank you very much. And I'm out. I don't like your attitude. And I was like, yes, I love it. My name's Peter, thank you very much.
That's what I think my dad would say. It's Tony, actually. Like, oh, I know what your name is.
It's Tony, actually.
Oh, that's too good. I feel like we've gone like fairly off topic now, but I don't think it matters. I think this is the point. Right. Is there anything else? Any interesting tidbits that you've got?
Yeah.
Have we waffled on long enough?
I think you can feel free to ask me whatever you want. You're not guaranteed to get a good answer. Is this going to be edited, or is this just going to be like?
No. This is literally it.
God.
Like, we literally just whack record, and then just run it through. I like. Do you know what I mean? The reason we do that is because otherwise, I think like you end up trying to pick, like, oh yeah, and like this was really topical, so you know, so we covered that, and that's why we don't have pre-calls. That's why we don't have, like, I think people think we're joking. Yeah, we'll book people on there, but like, oh, so what did you want to talk about? Oh, I don't really know. What what do you want to talk about? I just think you look like a cool and interesting person, so I just wanted to talk to you. Because I think we live in a world, especially in lockdown, where like you don't get these human interactions anymore. You don't get to go to conferences. You don't get to see people, and there's loads of fascinating people in our industry doing loads of cool stuff, and you just don't get to hear about it anymore. So for me, it was part like I'm proper nosy, so I just like knowing what people are doing and finding out what people are like. And I thought, well, if I enjoy it, people love people watching, so surely people are going to enjoy just listening to me waffle on to people that I find interesting. And do you know what? If they don't, it doesn't really matter. Like I've had a nice hour.
Can I do the thing? The subscribe here.
What? Oh, like I don't know where it would be.
Where do I point? Click on the bell for notification.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, hit notifications. Subscribe
there.
subscribe to the channel. Oh my god, guys.
Yeah. Hi and welcome to
So today we're talking about box sports.
Moochies.
Slime. Honestly, that's what my daughter wants this to be like. She's like, you're boring, Dad. You're boring. You're not interesting. Even when you're talking, like, you just sound boring. I was like, oh. What do I need to do? She's like, be more interesting. I'm like, oh, shit.
You're going to be adopted. How's that for interesting?
How's that for
Meet your new parents.
How's that for a strap line?
I've eaten the last pack of What's-Its and you're moving. Off you pop.
I'm putting all of my money into moon cheese.
And you're inheriting none of it. Oh, Christ. No wonder
Moon
people think
cheese
I'm mad.
logo. Good. Right, I feel that's like probably enough waffle.
Probably enough moon cheese for one
Probably
day.
enough waffle for one day. Eliza-May, that was brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's good. Nice to have you on. It's thoroughly enjoyable. We'll put all of your details down in the comments down below.
You need to get twinkly lights in the background.
I did a quiz once. I did a GDPR quiz on the channel, and I did have like some like sparkly blue stuff, like a sparkly blue curtain. No,
It sounds very like
it was like there's cheap, and then there was this sparkly blue curtain.
Sorry. Yes. Thank you for having me.
No expense, but no, you're welcome. Thank you for coming on. It's very cool. So I'll put your details down below. Anybody got any questions, please do get in touch with Eliza. She's on LinkedIn. Are you on Twitter? Do you tweet?
I am, but no. No. That's not even my accent.
No.
I'm possessed by a Geordie.
Not on Twitter.
Possessed by the ghost of Hilary Devane. I will send you it. I am on Twitter, but I'm not on it as often as LinkedIn.
You don't tweet. We'll put your LinkedIn in. We'll put their website in. Just send me all your details and we'll bang it all in.
Fabulous.
That is awesome. Thank you for watching. If you are watching this, if you've watched it all the way to the end.
What were you thinking? Get a hobby?
You're thinking get a job, do some work. If you enjoy it, obviously like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, whatever it is you're supposed to do on YouTube, and we'll speak to you all again soon.
Bye.